Hey, it's Michelle coming to you with some kitchen inspiration. Our new season with Pampered Chef starts on March 1st. We have lots of brand new products coming out. And one of my favorite things is all the brand new recipes. So I'm making a brand new recipe tonight and I thought I would share. It's called Pickled Veggie and Pork Sandwiches. It's in from our new season's best cookbook. So I am going to work on that with you right now. So while I'm doing this, I'm actually going to go ahead and prep dinner for tomorrow night at the same time because I'm babysitting tomorrow and sometimes I'm too tired at the end of the day to cook. So I've got a pork loin and, oops, let's get this opened up. It's a little juicy. I'm gonna put a paper towel underneath here to collect some of this so it doesn't wind up on my feet because nobody likes that, right? All right. So we're going to take the pork loin out of here. This is 3 pounds almost 3 pounds. So way too much food for 2 people. That's why I'm turning it into 2 dinners. And I love that I can do this ahead of time. So I'm just taking a really sharp knife. This is one of my really old Pampered Chef knives. I love that they last so long. This one's probably 20 years old. And it doesn't want to go through that part. I probably should have trimmed that off first. Let me go back and trim this part off. I like it to be lean when I cook it, so I'm going to take all of the fat off, and it also takes that extra chewiness out, which I don't really like also. You know, when I was looking at it from the other side, it looked really lean, so I didn't worry about it. But what I didn't realize was I was holding it upside down. So we're just going to trim that off. You don't have to do this, but it makes the whole meal a little healthier. We're watching our cholesterol, so I like to take all of the fat off. And when you're cooking it in the pressure cooker, you don't actually need the fat. If you were to cook it in the oven or on the stove top, the fat is helpful, but in the pressure cooker, it's not necessary. So I just take it off. Okay, here we go. So I'm cutting this. Let's just check the rest of it. Looks pretty good. Guess there's a piece over here that I could cut off too. So I like to cut it in about, 1 inch, 1.5 inch segment. It's not an exact science. You just didn't want it in a big giant hunk. It just takes longer to cook that way. And it's 5:20, so I don't really want it to take that long to cook. Okay, so I got my pork cut up. I'm gonna drop it into the bowl of the inner pot of the multi-cooker, your deluxe multi-cooker or your electric pressure cooker. Okay, let me just check out these parts. Yeah, see, I didn't trim over here, so I'm gonna trim that part off because it's gonna make it chewy, and I don't like it chewy. So I'm just dropping it in here now so the recipe actually calls for you to cook it in the special marinade, but I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna add it afterwards, so that way I can turn this into 2 meals. Okay, so I'm actually going to just cook it with a cup of water and a tablespoon of sea salt. Let me get this cutting board out of the way and wash my hands, and I will show you the rest of this. So when I cook it this way, I get pulled pork without any flavoring, which is actually what I'm looking for, okay? So that I can turn it into more than one meal. So today it's gonna be these pickled veggie sandwiches, and tomorrow it's gonna be pulled pork Carolina style with that mustardy sauce. So that's what I'll make tomorrow for it. All right, so I got pink Himalayan sea salt. Just gonna put that in. I have 1 cup of water because you always need at least a cup of liquid. All right, so now I'm gonna drop this in the pressure cooker. I'm using my old pressure cooker, the one called the quick cooker. I've had this probably 10 years now. It works terrific still. I alternate between this one and the newer version, which is the multi-cooker. They both work perfectly, so I just alternate between them. I'm gonna put this on the beef pork setting, which is 35 minutes, which I found is absolutely perfect. So it's going to take 10 minutes to boil that liquid in there, that water. And then once that is boiled, this little red pop-up thing will pop up. Then you won't be able to lift this lid off anymore because it's a safety mechanism, and then it'll count down from 35 minutes. So, all right, so that was the pulled pork. Then I'll be able to open it up and shred it with just my tongs. All right, I'm gonna put out a clean cutting board. I dumped the other one because it had raw meat on it, right? I love these cutting boards. These are really old also. The newer version has different colors on it. Okay, so what we're gonna do next is we're gonna make the part of the recipe called pickled vegetables. So I'm using all my old tools today. These are old bamboo bowls from Pampered Chef. All right, so I'm gonna take, I have some ingredients here that I've never used before. Fish sauce. I'm gonna give this a really good shake because you don't know if it's settled while it was in the store. And I forgot to pre-open this. So I gotta figure out how to get this open. Wow, this is not easy. Hate when they're like complicated to open. Might need to use a knife. Let's see if that opened it. So I went to the Asian section of my grocery store, which I spend a lot of time in the Asian section because I buy all kinds of stuff. It smells good. Okay, so that's where I got this fish sauce. It says 1 tablespoon. This is thin. I didn't know this was going to be a thin sauce. I thought it was going to be a thick sauce. All right, so we're going to put a tablespoon of this in. If you want this recipe, it'll actually be posted on my website March 1st. But if you want it before then, just let me know and I'll send it over to you. 2 tablespoons of soy sauce. I always use less sodium. I feel like we have enough sodium in our diets. 1, 2 tablespoons of brown sugar. Get another spoon. Since I should have done this in a different order because now my spoon is wet, but that's okay. Brown sugar in this kind of recipe doesn't have to be perfectly measured. So 2 tablespoons of brown sugar and 2 cloves of garlic, and I forgot to get out my garlic press, so I'm grabbing that. I did get my garlic out. It's over here. So I'm going to grab my garlic. I'm just going to cut it in half because it just makes it slightly easier to press and because you get more out of it that way. So I just cut it in half, stick it in here. You don't have to peel it. Aim before you shoot, really important. Otherwise it winds up who knows where. Then just use the little Barbie hairbrush, wipe it off, open it. There's your paper, okay? Put the other half in. See how that comes right out the front there? This says it's dishwasher safe, but I call this a hand wash only item. And the reason for that is because you can dishwash it, but in 10 years, it'll be all black and it'll leave black stuff on your food and nobody likes that. So I hand wash mine, then I don't have that issue. This little Barbie hairbrush, these things go in the holes right here and then it cleans it right up for you, okay? So that's super easy. Okay, what else needs to go in here? Ginger. So this calls for ground ginger. Most of the time when I do Asian food, I do fresh ginger, but this one calls for ground ginger. So we're gonna put in 1/2 teaspoon of ground ginger and then some pepper, black pepper, which I didn't get either. Oh my gosh, I have an amazing new tool coming for salt and pepper. You will see that in the next couple days. All right, so I'm gonna put some, these are that really old Pampered Chef pepper mills, salt and pepper mills. They're probably over 20 years old also. My new ones are here, but they're in the car, but I will show you the new ones in the next couple days. Okay, black pepper. All right, good. So now I'm just gonna grab my small whisk. Give this a nice stir. So this is the marinade that is going, oh, this is the pork marinade. I did this out of order. That's okay. We're just gonna move it into a different bowl and what are we gonna do that in later? You know what? I'm gonna get out my Pampered Chef eight cup batter bowl, and I'm going to transfer that to there. Because I was looking at the wrong part of the recipe, which is fine. So that's actually for the pork. So that's over there. Let me just rinse this bowl out. And we're gonna make the other marinade, the pickled vegetable marinade. So this one's actually a little bit easier. This one calls for 3/4 of a cup of rice vinegar. So is that what it said? Yeah, 3/4 of a cup. I'm using my really old mix, what's this called? Measure all cup. This one you use on this side for liquid, and you use it on this side for dry ingredients. This one was pink way back in the day. It's clear color now, but it used to be pink. All right, so we put in that, 1/4 of a cup of water. Water, a 1/2 tablespoon of our crunchy garlic crisp seasoning. A 1/2 tablespoon is about 1.5 teaspoons. I'm gonna lower that a little bit, just because this is kind of spicy for me. So I'm gonna put in half as much. If you love spice, this is the ingredient for you. It's really yummy. I just can't eat that much spice. Okay, so I put in about half of that. And 2 tablespoons of sugar. And 1 teaspoon of salt. I always try to have a dry measuring spoon and a wet measuring spoon out, because I don't like to mix them up, because then everything gets stuck to them. Okay, so that's what's gonna pickle our veggies. And I wish you could smell this. It actually smells like pickles. Not like dill pickles, but it smells like pickled stuff. Okay, let's move that over. And we're gonna prep some of our veggies. So the recipe calls for about 1/4 of a seedless cucumber, which we already had a piece open because we were using it for our salad. If you don't have a seedless cucumber, we use a regular cucumber, that's fine. I like to cut the end off because it gets a little shriveled. Okay, so it calls for that, and it calls for some radishes, which I'm not a huge fan of, but my husband likes, so they're here. So we're gonna put them in this, because the first time I make a recipe, I always make it pretty much exactly as written, except for the spice amount, you know, because I tend to change that so that I'm more comfortable with it. Okay, and then we're gonna use some carrots. So I have carrots also. Okay, so the next thing we're gonna do, let me make a little space here. Move this over. So we're gonna grab the Rapid Prep mandolin, okay? On the Rapid Prep mandolin, we're gonna make matchsticks, what they would call julienne, okay? So we're gonna turn it over to the back, and it has slices, French fries, matchsticks. Last time I used it, it was on matchsticks. And then I would say setting number 4, that's your matchstick setting. That's also your setting for regular French fry. Actually, I'm gonna put it down smaller. I'm gonna put it on 3 for matchsticks, because this is your shoestring French fry setting. There's your steak fry setting, okay? They tried to make it as easy as possible. So you have 8 different thicknesses. We're gonna open this up. We're going to slide this piece in there. Whoops, I should open the front. I'm gonna open the front. I'm gonna turn this handle and open it up. And then we're gonna attach the front pieces, which keep your fingers completely away from the blades. Okay. I don't know what's going on here. Why won't they go on? I'm obviously doing something wrong today, but I don't know what. I do this all the time. And it's funny that it will not go on today. Oh, there we go. I don't know. I must have just been holding it funny. Okay, so I would say pampered chef, not perfect chef, right? So we're going to start by throwing in our cucumber. I think I'm going to cut the cucumber in half because I want it to be longer matchsticks. So I'm going to lay it in like that. Okay, and then you want to use this piece. And all you're going to do is pump this up and down. 2 seconds, I have perfect matchsticks. See that? Super easy. All right, so now we're gonna drop the radishes in here. I like that it collects the food also. Perfect radish matchsticks. Okay, and now we're gonna throw some carrots in. If you have big fat carrots, those are probably better, but I have these little ones at the moment. I think because my store was out of regular carrots when I went there. All right, ready? Now when you're done with this, I'll put some more carrots in because my husband likes veggies a lot. Whoops, carrots flying everywhere. But he loves veggies, so I'm just gonna put extra in. So he will eat them all. Okay, so when you're done with this, you're gonna pull this little tab back and it lets this go. Then you can see how the blade goes up and down. I usually just rinse it off unless there's stuff stuck. So there's a little piece stuck in the back there, but it's not such a big deal. It does come with one of those little like toothbrush kind of brushes to clean that off with. And then I'm gonna close the leg, but I'm gonna leave this open and I'm gonna put it in the top rack of the dishwasher. It's very easy to deal with. Okay, so let me give this another stir. Transfer that back. And we're gonna put all of our veggies in here. I can hear my pressure cooker. It's getting ready to come up to pressure, which is cool because that means 35 minutes till dinner, which I planned it around 6:15, so that's actually perfect. All right. So I got all that in there. Let me get a couple spoons. Actually, I'm going to use spatulas. And I'm just gonna toss this, and now it's going to have 35 minutes to marinate and become pickled vegetables. This says let it sit for 30 minutes or overnight. So it just depends on how pickled you want it. It's kind of just like a little salad condiment to go onto your sandwiches, which reminds me, I have to go get a roll out of the freezer and toast it up so we can have some rolls for dinner for our sandwiches. Okay, so isn't that a pretty little salad? Look how pretty that is. Right? And that was very simple to do. All right, I'm gonna kind of tuck it all down in there so it's sitting in the vinegar and let it sit there, and that's basically it. When my pork comes out, I'm gonna take half of it and mix it with that mixture that we made with the fish sauce, the soy sauce, the brown sugar, and the garlic. And I will mix that up in there. And then the only other thing it says to do is to mix some mayonnaise. This says mayonnaise and cilantro. And so it says put mayonnaise on both sides of the roll and sprinkle cilantro on the bottom, and then put your pork and your veggies on there and drain the excess liquid, close the sandwiches and cut in half before serving. They're going to be very pretty. Hopefully they will look just like that and they will taste just like that. So thanks for joining me. I hope you you learned something new. And if you want the recipe, just send me a private message because I'm not allowed to post it yet since it's not actually available until March 1st. But I'm happy to share it with you between now and then. Thanks so much. Hope you have a great evening. Don't forget to follow me on Michelle's Kitchen Inspiration on YouTube.